2 seconds. I just click the record button that I'll send to you after this, and I believe Corey will go ahead and share his screen, and he'll take it from there.
Perfect. All right. Let me know when everyone's able to see my screen. You should say Excello stream in the top left.
Yep.
Perfect. So before I jump too much further, Kay, just wanted to get a feel of some of the things that you want to see within Excel. I know you're doing some tickets through Freshdesk today. Do you guys have any need for like a CRM, customer management tool, maybe to categorize the work that you're doing on a per customer basis?
Yeah, that would be good. So right now, Freshdesk offers the ability to create individual projects within a customer. And we find that that's really useful because we have so USANA and Merit Medical are a couple of our clients, and they have multiple divisions within the company. So depending on what division, even though it's under USANA, there's a whole separate project, it gets billed separately. There could even potentially be separate rates depending on what's negotiated for the price of the project.
Okay. Perfect. So where I'll start real briefly is the CRM portion of Excel, and then we'll start to branch off into projects and our ticket module as well.
Cool.
So first, where I want to start is our list of companies. So we like to say Excello is a client-centric database, so everything's going to roll up to a company within Excello, all the contacts, projects, and communications. So the list is just a really good place to start to just get that overarching view of all the clients you're doing work with today. You can then start to filter those clients out by a variety of different things. Maybe it's tags, maybe some custom fields that you want to track, all the way down to different divisions like you were just mentioning. So you can start to do exactly what you're just saying, where maybe there's some different rates, similar company, but we charge them a little bit differently depending on what entity they are. From here, I want to jump into Delta Airlines, which will give us an overarching view of what an individual client page is going to look like. And so kind of lay of the land, left-hand side, basic details about that client, contacts, comments, their locations, maybe some tags. As we go to the bottom, some additional tracking information that's customizable. So maybe we want to track platforms used or locations, industry, a variety of details that you can start to add in there. As we move up, we get a nice snapshot of the recent work we've been doing for them lately, some new projects, invoices, maybe some tickets are going to populate there. And then we get our health report of the customer. So activities versus hours, essentially how much work are we doing and how long is that taking us to do it for them over a 6-month period. And then on the right, we do get a nice revenue tracker. So how much money have we been making from this customer over the past year? And then a touch tracker as well. So how often are we emailing Delta, calling Delta? How often are they emailing us back? And so we can start to really get a good idea of great, revenues up, touches are up, this is a healthy client. Or on the flip side, revenues down, touches are down. Maybe we need to re-engage and start to re-engage and get that business flowing. A very similar view is our work tab, which is just another high-arching view of all the work that we have going on with this client. So requests, I know that's something that you were asking about, where client can come, email in with either a new sales opportunity, a new ticket, a new project, anything along those lines. You can start to track those as requests and then convert those either automatically or manually into a few different things within Excel. And then all the sales opportunities, open projects, and their health report as well. All the tickets, what time they were open, due date, their statuses, which are configurable, and then any retainers or what we're calling reoccurring work on a monthly or quarterly basis. Any questions around the overview or the work tab? Is this something that you can see being beneficial? Do you have a similar view maybe?
We do, between the two systems, we do.
Okay. And then, just having that all in one system, would that be helpful? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay. And then I know you guys are using Gmail, so I do want to touch on the stream. What the stream does is going to give you a chronological view of all the actions or interactions that you're having with your client or about your client. So we're going to be able to start tracking emails that you're sending out to your clients. When they respond, we'll attach it automatically to that client, as well as in this case, you can see this is related to a project as well as an invoice on that project. And so each of those individuals have their own stream. So the invoice has its own and the project. We're going to allocate the emails and conversations to those. So you always get a nice history of what's going on in that particular thing that you're operating in, whether it's the project or the company.
Okay.
From here, you can always respond directly to this. One quick thing, how important is time tracking to you guys? Perfect. So you'll notice as soon as I started emailing to respond back to Katie, we started that timer automatically. And then as soon as we hit send, we're going to capture that time and then put it against my individual timesheet as well. This also operates on an internal note basis. So if we want to write notes back and forth to one another, that's also an option that we can do. And then just some other high arching activities. So whenever a quote is accepted by the client, a new project is started, tickets are closed or open, we're going to capture all of that here. And then you can always search by those activities to get a nice kind of drill down approach to what's going on.
Okay.
All right. So where I want to go to next is just a high kind of function of our sales module. Essentially what you can do is track new opportunities. And then the biggest thing that we do there is we allow you to quote your projects and then effectively turn those quotes or estimates directly into a project from the same screen with the click of a button. So I'm not sure if you have a use for that, but I just wanted to bring it up before we jump into a project.
Yeah, we do.
Perfect. And what I'll do is when I jump into maybe this mobile app build project, I'll kind of touch base real quickly on how that quote would actually translate into this project. So from here, if I quickly go into edit plan, essentially this screen is what you would also get at the quote level, where you can start to templatize the work that you're doing. And if you're doing an SEO campaign perhaps, or a new video production, anything like that, we understand projects maybe aren't always the same, but a lot of times they have the same general tasks or same general milestones. And so we want to at least capture some of those reoccurring tasks and milestones. You can see we also allow milestones as well. Then we can quickly insert those templates both at the quote level, and then if we're just building an ad hoc project, same kind of idea. And then from here we can quickly edit things, take things away, add things in, change the budget or the time allocation that we're putting against this. And real quick, you guys bill on fixed price, is that correct?
We do, yeah, we're like at 90 an hour.
Okay, perfect. So we allow for both. We can set the project as a fixed price, or we can have it be a roll up of the time and billable rates from the below tasks. So a couple options there.
So with this project, and you might be getting to it already. So the way that I do it is I like to break it out individually like you have here per task. But when we send it to our client, I don't want them to see those individual hour breakouts. I just want them to see the lot price.
Beautiful. Yeah. And in the quote, we can templatize that where really you can show as much or as little as you'd like. Budget, time, or just the task and total price. Yeah, definitely up to you.
Okay, cool.
Good question. And then quickly, just on the right-hand side, you get your Gantt chart view where you can start to interact with it and pull things in, push things out. Maybe if we know this is going to be extended, you can see dependencies, these blue lines. We can start to put some adaptive logic around that, where if, in this instance, go live, no one can start working on the go live until all the dependencies have been completed before it. Or we can also put it around where you can start doing that work even though the dependencies haven't been finished. So a lot of adaptive logic around task management.
Okay.
And then just again, at the quote level as well as the project level, we allow materials to be put in as well. So hard costs or even service subscriptions. We see a lot of our clients using that there as well. This will tie directly. We can import that information and data from FreshBooks, including your margin prices, maybe ledger codes, a variety of different things, and quickly add those in. You can see we already have all this kind of pre-populated. Go in, select what you need, add quantity, and change your margins as needed.
Okay. So mostly our material costs would be, software.
Okay.
for that. So I guess, does that get integrated in with expenses?
We could. We do. So on that software, is that like a monthly recurring charge that you typically have?
Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
So it depends. We have a number of reoccurring monthly expenses that are then divvied up appropriately in reoccurring invoices.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one-off expenses depending on the project when it
Okay.
goes through and what they need, plugin updates, that kind of stuff. So it's really a variety.
Okay. So high level, before we get too much further, what we can use, materials are typically used for those costs that you know are going to happen up front. Server and testing environment, we know that we're setting that up at the beginning of this project.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
when we jump into this next view, I think for those plugin updates and a variety of those other, we do have an expense module as well.
Okay.
So we can use that. And then for those monthly recurring charges, we have what we call retainers, where a lot of our customers who sell subscription-based software use that to auto-generate invoices, have that same fee kind of populate month over month. And then we can always tie projects to our retainers. It's really like a contract management tool.
Okay.
Okay. So now we've kind of walked through how to plan out our project, how to get it from a quote into it. Now we're at that project overview screen. Basic details on that project on the left-hand side, and that's going to be a recurring theme kind of from the company on down. Left-hand side is where the overarching details will be, maybe who our team is, comments, how it's tracking, and then the middle screen is really going to be that health report on everything. So from here, you can see all the different tasks, milestones, how they're tracking both in earned value, so that billable rate times the hours, how they're tracking against that time that's estimated. We'll start to notify you when things are going over. So in this case, we didn't think we'd spend any time on this, but we spent 4 hours. And so we're already kind of over budget. You can choose to charge that customer the $800 that we went over, or again, we can choose not to if it's a fixed price, but we do want to still report out on what could we have made had we charged that.
Okay. So on the projects where the individual tasks are, can when that gets converted into a quote or gets approved, the project gets approved, is there an easy way to convert those into individual tickets that get then assigned to the appropriate dev person?
Yeah, so that's a good, let me kind of get a good idea of how you guys are functioning today. So I know Freshdesk is like a ticket management system, and you guys are using it also as a project management system, or maybe talk through like what a typical job might look like from your perspective.
So we do. So a typical job, particularly larger projects where we have more than one developer involved at any given point, I'll take the estimated statement of work that's approved and then break it down into individual tickets. And then those will be assigned to the team, and then they use all of that to track their hours.
Okay. So just like a little bit different lingo here, and we can always change things around, but what we'll do is instead of calling these tickets, these are actually those tasks where we break down our projects into tasks. Now we can change the language to match yours to make it feel more comfortable. But yeah, definitely. So what we'll do at the project level is have like these milestones, and then underneath those, what you're referring to as tickets, we'll call them as tasks, and then we can easily assign those out to our developers.
Okay.
Whether via our schedule or team scheduling tool, or via our task board, which might look a little bit familiar once we jump into that.
Okay.
And we do have a ticket module as well. And that's we typically see customers using that for like short ad hoc work, like maybe 1 to 3 days long. There's not too many tasks or subtasks that need to go against it. Maybe a quick website fix or a plugin fix, things like that you still want to charge the customer for, but isn't necessarily a full-blown long-term project.
Okay.
And then to your point, just from these tasks, or what you refer to as tickets, from this screen, easy for individuals to come in and log time retroactively. So they can come in and say, hey, I knocked out an hour on this, add in their notes. ultimately save that log, and that'll populate against the task automatically, as well as the overall project. From here, they can also jump into this task, get the details of it, what the stream on that, so the history of what's been done already, and again, either log time or start a timer. And now this timer is automatically going to be tied to wireframing. They can jump in, start doing their wireframe design, get that completed. Once they're done with that, they can come back. That timer is always going to be living here. Go ahead and complete that out. You'll see the timer will keep going. They add in their notes. And then this is always editable too. So if they stepped away for the bathroom for 10 minutes, they can always come back and say, actually, I did 35 minutes on it, and save that as well.
Okay.
All right. From here, again, some other things on the right-hand side around are, this kind of plugs into that adaptive project management as well, where we can start to see our planned start dates, but also our predicted due dates. So what the system can start to do is really take how fast you're completing time, completing these tasks or tickets out, and then make suggestions on when we think this project's going to be due. You can set target due dates and target start dates. A lot of different logic going in here where you can see we're already 1 day ahead of schedule. Where on the flip side, if we're behind schedule, it also can notify us and start to turn yellow or red and say, hey, you're tracking to be 7 days late on this project. With the idea being, if we can identify those issues ahead of time rather than like late into the project, and then having the fun conversation with the customer saying, hey, we're going to be a week late, we can start fixing that issue ahead of time and really making it a little bit easier to ensure our projects finish on time.
So I think that's great. Is there, are you able to see that on the dashboard? Like, so I'm over probably, I don't know, at any given point, 1/3 to 2/3 of the projects that are ongoing, but there's specific accounts that I don't deal with, that Dan deals with. So is there a way to set up on my dashboard projects that I'm watching?
Yeah, great question. So we can add, project managers, or as a team, you can add yourself in.
Okay.
And then we have a project list where we can start to filter and make screens for yourself, as well as a project dashboard. So a couple places to help track you and keep you on track. So similar to that schedule we do have for that interactive Gantt chart view as well, which kind of the same concept. It's going to start to alert you on when things are planned, even into the future. We haven't even started some of these tasks yet, but we're going to still say, hey, you're tracking pretty well on this one 3 days before planned. The actual is when you actually started work. So we started 20 days before our target. Not a big deal. In this case, that's probably a good thing. But again, the concept here is we really want to help you stay on track with your projects and start setting alerts around that. So if you start getting off course, you can start getting notified as well from your perspective. Projects that you're watching and need to keep an eye on, instead of kind of going through them one by one, you can start to get alerts around which ones are problem childs, which ones are healthy, etc.
And then one thing that FreshBook is doing that's really nice right now is they have a leadership board that is just on the main dashboard that everybody has access to, and it shows who's responding the fastest to tickets, who's doing the most tickets. Do you guys have something like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So on an individual project basis, we absolutely have kind of like a work done board, who's doing the most work, who's doing the most profitable work, but also on these dashboards. Each one, so a ticket dashboard and project dashboard, has the similar type of data that you just described.
Okay, great.
And then we can actually jump into that here in a second. One last thing, our workflows, completely configurable to you. And there's a lot of automation around those workflows that we can start to build in. So maybe once we're done completing in final invoice, we want to generate a templated email to our customers saying, hey, project's done, offer your feedback, maybe complete the survey, and then here's your final invoice. If we're going to maybe a pause or waiting status, hey customer, we're waiting for XYZ detail from you before we can move forward. Really, again, trying to automate the back-end administration for you, so you can really focus on your work and trust that Excel is going to handle, notifying you when things are going off course.
Okay, so that pause project or cancel project, that we can send something to the client to that effect.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so you put this project on pause, and so they have something on record, and we have something on record.
Bingo. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so we looked at that overall project view of what maybe a project manager is looking at, but then obviously what are the developers looking at, the individuals who are getting these tasks or tickets. So typically where we see people going is the task board. And from the task board, you can get an overarching view of all the work that's assigned to you, what's overdue maybe, what you have due today, tomorrow, and then obviously into the future. And so from here, we see a lot of kind of what we call the doers, knocking out the work that they need to get done. From this screen, they can, for a PPC campaign, again, just start those timers. From here, they don't have to jump into the project and get any details. They can just start their work from here, knock out that campaign, log the time. Again, look retroactively log time, or even go in and add internal notes, email the client, set up meetings. Essentially, they can do anything and everything they might need to do for this PPC campaign to track their work from this screen. Again, even jumping into that task and getting the history of it, and then moving it forward through its progression as well.
So are yours established by due dates?
Yeah, this board is this one. We also have a status board where it's what's pending, what have I accepted to do, and then what's the work that I've started.
Do you have one that's set by priority or a way to do that?
We can definitely, right up here, start to filter out the tasks as well. So maybe a tag high priority. We want to first come in and check that board first of what's high priority. Yeah, so we have ways of definitely doing that.
Okay.
Good question. All right. And then, so a couple places we can go from here. I can kind of walk through team resourcing, so our dashboard and our team scheduling, or if you want to go through maybe what it looks like from your end to track your overall project portfolio.
Yeah, either one. Either one is good.
So we'll just kind of look at team resourcing really quickly. So this is our scheduled dashboard. And what it's going to do is give you insight into what is currently going on today across your team, as well as in the future. So essentially, we see a lot of companies coming in saying, great, are we effectively using our time today? So or on this case, the weekly overview, start to get to see that Aaron's 40-hour work week, currently scheduled to do 200 hours, completely overutilized. Let's start to take some of this work off of her plate. On the flip side, when can we take on new work? So it looks like, have a decent amount in September. Maybe we don't want to take on new work until October, or we can start to filter our users as well. So by maybe our design team or our development team, and get a good insight into how those teams' workloads are.
Okay. Individual tickets, assignments, okay, and that correlates with assigning tasks and creating essentially like the Gantt chart, right?
Correct. Yep.
That's how that's established.
Yep.
Okay. Spell check doesn't like Gantt. Okay. Cool.
Okay. And then the next view that's really similar to this. So first we've checked in to see when can we take that work on. Now let's go ahead and go to team scheduling, which allows us now to schedule out the work that we have in the pipeline ready to go. So you can either on the left-hand side filter by maybe just tasks that are unassigned, or maybe if we just want to look at an individual project or even some of our tickets, we can start to filter down that work, jump into those, and then on the right hand side we get our team capacity again on a daily view or a weekly view. And so we can really start to look at so if I wanted to hold client kickoff call and I wanted to drag and drop this, I can easily drag this over to Anna maybe and say, hey, on the 15th I want you to take this task, and then auto assign or schedule that work. So we can push, if you schedule work, we can push that to your Gmail calendar, so you can always get a good kind of central repository of what your schedule looks like.
So the guys can have it integrate with the Gmail?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like in this case, you can see Anthony has from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This activity to do.
Do your tickets integrate with the Gmail too?
They do. So we would, yeah, they do. We would allow you to schedule out time on those tickets as well. We call them bookings, and we'll kind of walk through what that looks like. But yeah, they do.
And for that integration with Gmail, is it an automatic push?
Mhm.
Or like I know with Trello, they do their push once a day.
Oh yeah, no, it's automatic.
So, okay, so I was like, we tried
Yeah.
using that and it just screwed everything up.
Yeah, no, it's definitely yeah, instant. So as soon as I schedule this, it'll populate onto my Gmail calendar. The other cool thing is at the My Schedule view or even the dashboard view, we pull in anything that you maybe haven't scheduled within Excello, but you've scheduled in Gmail. We'll still pull those in and say it's an external activity to give you a good idea of like what else you have going on in your world.
Oh, okay. So I mean, that can almost be like even personal appointments or.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, definitely want to see, okay, great, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I have a doctor's appointment. So anyone that's scheduling work for me, they can see that and not put it on top of that.
Okay. Client lunches, that kind of thing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So before I jump into kind of reviewing our overall project portfolio and then move into tickets, any questions around team resourcing or team scheduling?
No, I like all of that.
Beautiful. All right. So first I'll start at the project dashboard. And what this is going to do is allow you to get a high view of all the work that you have in your pipeline that you're currently doing work on. Some stats across the board, which you can click into and drill into, as well as a project scorecard, which you can filter by what we're going to call our project types, but essentially what kind of work you're doing, maybe website design or SEO campaign, PPC, you can start to filter those out and then see exactly where we are in those in terms of budget, how much we've invoiced for already, so milestone billing. And then if you hover over some of this, you can start to get key details around the pricing, usage, billable versus non-billable, due dates, are we tracking to be on time? In this case, we're way off schedule by a year. And then when was the last activity done? And then you can kind of go through all of that for those projects and then your performance.
And those tasks, that's what's assigned when you create the project tasks, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, you get that performance chart review that you were kind of talking about from a project manager standpoint. How many projects do they have? Are they on budget usually? Are they not on budget? Are they on time? Not on time? We can filter by company or even type of projects to really get a good insight into maybe what company's performing the best or what kind of project we're underperforming on or overperforming.
Okay.
In a similar view before, I know we haven't touched too deeply on tickets, but the ticket dashboard I think is going to be relevant as well, where you can come in, same kind of concept, what kind of tickets are they and how are we performing on those, average age, average time spent, and then again, that performance around resolution rate, average age, average time they've spent on them, different details we can start to track on how quickly people are answering tickets, resolving tickets, and so forth.
Do you have a way to export that information? Like if we wanted to provide a report to a client, like to tell them, hey, just so you know, we're answering your stuff within 4 hours or?
Absolutely. So kind of the mantra is any data that you put into Excello is your data, and you can pull that out in a CSV. So for tickets, you can come to your ticket list, filter specifically by company and those resolution rates, and then export that out as well. Find out with financials, maybe just as a Excel CSV.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to kind of knock out two birds with one stone. So very similar view to our project list, but from a ticket list, this is where you can start to, you can already see I have some filters set up on the left-hand side. So maybe for tickets, ticket backlog might be a good one where all of our unassigned tickets, developers can come in and jump in and snag those. Or maybe if you have someone who's a distributor, they can come in and see what came in overnight and start to assign those out. I always have my personal filters so I can see my own tickets that I'm working on. So an easy way to come in and see what's been assigned to me, what do I need to complete, how many, age, how much time I've already put against it, is it closed, open, etc.
Okay.
Same concept with projects. You can start to filter what projects do I need to focus on, even if it's maybe not, I'm not the project manager. We do have, if we come up to saved, a favorites filter as well. So you can, even though I'm not the project manager, maybe I want to favorite it to keep an eye on it as well, and kind of get CC'd on some things.
So is there a way we have a large backlog of tickets where we're waiting on customer responses, whether it's for a task or a ticket by your definition.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to set up a reminder for maybe specific tickets to do a touch and email them and let them know, hey, we're still waiting on you, without me having to manually go in and sort everything by waiting on customer and then individually going to each ticket and email them?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So we can build that into our project workflow, or even have them as what we call triggers. So say, last company contact or last time the customer responded, it's been 7 days and we need a response. So the system's intelligent enough to go, great. After 7 days, if no contact has been made, go ahead and send out an email to the customer saying, hey, just, still pending that information that we've been waiting on. It's been 7 days since we last heard from you. Or on the flip side, an internal note saying, hey, it's been sitting in this status for, the past 7 days. Maybe you want to give the customer a phone call.
Okay.
Yeah, again, just kind of going back to, I think I mentioned it earlier, those sorts of things where sometimes when you're focusing on the work that you want to be doing, what you love to be doing, you forget about those, or you don't want to have to spend 5-10 minutes filtering all your tickets out for the ones that need to have updates on them. So Excello is really trying to automate that for you, so you don't have to always be remembering that.
Okay.
So where I'm at now, just to kind of set the scene again, we're in an actual ticket. So similar to those projects and companies, basic details on the left-hand side, key dates, tracking dates, bookings, kind of what I mentioned earlier, where we can schedule out the ticket work and push that to the Gmail calendar. And then additional tracking details, this is kind of where we can put response rates, time to close, time to open, different things like that. Budget and work around those, so we can use either our staff rates or we have a specific service rate that we charge depending on, in this case, VoIP system down or website down. We can charge a specific rate, track both billable, non-billable against that, and then start invoicing either on a per ticket basis, or we do have bulk billing where we can combine all the tickets within 1 month or 1 week and bill those out at the same time.
Yeah, so we do invoicing bi-monthly.
Okay.
So once every 2 weeks, and then we have it set right now to a default is that it just invoices and pulls in everything from the client for the last 2 weeks, and I just set the time frame, and then it does a big scoop.
Okay.
The difference there is if we have one client that has multiple projects within there, and then I would have to go in and do it by project.
Okay.
So do you have a way to do that? Like if we're working for a company that's maybe we're doing a project with them, but then they're also sending us individual ticket requests where I can just scoop all that time up?
Yeah, so that's going to bring us into our retainer module. So what we would be able to do from here is start to set up different types of retainers, maybe prepaid or postpaid. Essentially what you're kind of saying there is postpaid, where we do work for 2 weeks, and at the end of those 2 weeks, we charge the customer for whatever's been put against that retainer.
Okay.
So we would set up a biweekly here, what we call periods. So it would be a biweekly period. And from here, we can either have just ad hoc work put against that retainer, but more importantly, we can put tasks, reoccurring tasks. So if we know each month we're doing, like in this case, 3 different SEO and PPC tasks,
Mm-hmm.
But we can also do, I don't think we have anything on this one, but we can log projects and tickets against that as well. So different projects and those tickets, ultimately rolling that up at the end of the 2-week period, putting it all on one invoice, and then even auto-generating that invoice and sending it to the customer.
Okay. So is there a way to set as a default for clients anything coming through as a ticket, or anything that they email us that gets converted into a ticket is set up with this default of this time scoop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where the projects maybe we are billing out a little bit differently?
Yeah, bingo. Yeah, so kind of music to my ears on how you guys operate. That's exactly how we can set it up, where we can have we haven't touched on it, but we have request inboxes that they can email into. And once it's converted either automatically into a ticket or again manually, we can have an automation where anytime a new ticket is created for, in this case, Delta, go ahead and put it against the latest retainer period automatically, so no one has to worry about that. And at the project level, yeah, you may want to put it against that retainer period, or you may not want to. You may want to bill on an individual basis. We have some ways to help automate that and keep that clean as well.
Okay. And then for the invoicing, I might be jumping around a little bit for you.
No worries.
So for the invoicing, if we have those invoices set up for a 2-week period and then it's automatically generated, can we have it hold as a draft until it's reviewed?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. So you get to choose the logic on what happens. So you can have it just generated, but not sent out. And then we have sign off and review processes within Excello where you can have someone, maybe your billing coordinator, come in and just double check that everything's looking good.
Yes, yeah, because a lot of times we have to rework the notes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just have it auto-generated. Let's say draft. Okay, great.
And really quickly, just looking at an invoice, pretty similar to our quotes too, so that this can kind of knock it out in 2 ways, where completely configurable. From an invoice perspective, maybe choosing what you want to show, all your different ledger codes, tax codes from a finance perspective. And then when we preview and edit, very similar to the quote, customized from top to bottom in terms of your logo, your details, terms and conditions, and then you can choose what to show, what not to show. I don't want to show the tax amount. I just want to show the overall total. Same thing for tickets. Maybe I don't want to show the hours spent, or I do want to show cross board. Up to you on how you want to start to configure and templatize that to make it easy to bill the way you want to bill.
Okay, and then I'm assuming a filter on there is whether to show the developer's name that worked on the task or not?
Yeah, good call. Yep, so work summary as well as work detail. So we can start to group by individuals, so staff maybe, and then all the different things related to the time that they did, all the way down to even non-billable. We have some customers who, obviously charge for the billable rate, but maybe did, 5 hours of non-billable, and they still want to show the customer, look at the extra work that we're doing for you on this.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of things to prove your value to the customer.
So for that, one area with Freshdesk that we have an issue with is they don't have a way to break out billable and non-billable. It just, from the developer side, they enter their hours in, and then if I change it afterwards, it still shows their time as being billed because that's how they sent their invoice through.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way, like if they, and they don't always know what's billable and what's not.
Yeah.
So short of having them go back in and change their time, is there a way to do it quickly in here to reassign a billable versus non-billable?
Yeah, so we can do it definitely at the invoice level, kind of from that last screen. From here, quicker way is our approved work tool. So we're going to hop around a little bit here. So the approved work lives at all 3 levels. So retainers would probably be the easiest, to be honest, where it's capturing all the work that's been done in those 2 weeks. Then you can go in and check all that work at once. I'll jump in really quickly to the project just to show what it looks like. So we can come in and look at all the work that's been done, pop it open, see what's going on, and then quickly transfer it from non-billable to non-billable or non-billable to billable back and forth, and then ultimately approve that work out. We can even split this and say, oh, actually only a half hour of that was billable versus non-billable, and then start to kind of go from there.
Good. Is that reflected in the report on with the developer of like out of all the time they submitted this week, if it gets adjusted here, like let's say they submitted 5 hours, it's billable, and I went and made a change here and said no, only 3 hours are billable, and their performance reporting or some kind of analysis, does that connect with that so we can see what was actually billed by them and what wasn't?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And then that's kind of where I was going to go next is, they have a timesheet report themselves, a weekly timesheet to go in and make sure that all of the time they're capturing is there, as well as we make recommendations as well. So maybe you assign something to them and they didn't complete it out. We won't automatically log it for them, but we'll definitely say, hey, this was on your calendar today. Did you do any work on this? Just in case they might have forgot to keep that on schedule. But kind of to your point, the timesheet report is where we can drill into either on individual level or more likely on a team level and start to track the non-billable versus billable time. And then even drill down and start looking at who they did it for, what projects they did it for, all the way down to the activity level of what exactly they did, all that billable time for.
Okay.
And then this is exportable as well. So you can dive into that detail and start to do reporting on it.
Okay.
And just to call out cost rate. So what is it costing the business for them to do that? We have financial visibility or permissions around that. So not everyone would have access to these two columns. They just wouldn't see it. They could just see the time that they have.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So we have about 9 minutes left. I do want to leave some time for Anna to kind of go over next steps from both your guys' perspective. But before I pass it back to Anna, any questions from your end, Kate, or anything else that you wanted to see that I may have glossed over or just didn't touch on?
So one of the things I'd like to see is a little bit more on the reporting side.
Okay.
Is how to clean up like expense management and just be able to run some of the accounting reports, client reports. I mean, we saw some of the client reports early on, so.
Yeah, so a few ways actually for maybe invoices is actually going to be a better way. So from these lists, you can really start to drill into the data that's within Excelos. So like you can already see that we have some saved filters around all of our outstanding invoices, what's been total owing, who the customer is. We can start to filter by customer, really a lot of details right here where we can start to drill that that data down and really start to choose what we want to look at and how we want to look at it. And then really take that data, pull it out, or even just report out it from here. We have some preset dashboards as well around sales, projects, tickets, like we mentioned, individual utilization, so billable versus non-billable, as well as invoice statements, which is really just your accounts receivable reports on what's still outstanding. But I do think these list views are going to be the best way for you to really hammer into that data and start to save those filters. That's the best part about it is you can share it is across the team. So anyone that has access to filters can see them, but then you can create your own filters that just yourself sees. Really ways to quickly, like once I've done this report, A, I can save it, and then B, it's a living report. So anytime anything changes around those conditions, it'll auto update. So you don't have to worry about running it multiple times.
Great. And then for that, a couple of questions on regards to, so we have a net 30. Well, most of our clients are net 30. Sometimes they're net 45. So is there a way to set up, when we set up the client, to automatically notify them when their due date for their invoice is approaching?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we would use those triggers around, every 30 days or probably every 20 days to get ahead of schedule on that. Hey, FYI, your invoice payment schedule is coming up.
Okay. And then on the other side of that, is there a way to set up a dashboard, a customized dashboard for Dan and myself that maybe shows a few things like upcoming projects or high priority projects, also, accounts that are overdue, like a quick overview of.
Yeah, so I know what you're getting at there.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to necessarily like plug in multiple dashboards to create like a home screen. So if I this home screen that, when you click on Excello, you
Yes.
can change all this. We have presets. So essentially anything in here, maybe I want to look at user manager dashboard's probably going to be the one that you guys want to use the most.
Okay.
Mine's probably not that built out. Yeah, I just don't own anything, but you can start to prioritize my projects that are upcoming, what work hours, revenue, activities, again, all the different things that I start to manage to get a quick insight into what's going on and what's important in my day. The user dashboard's pretty similar as well. So those might be two that I think from a home screen perspective, as soon as you log in, you can see what the important things are on your plate.
Okay.
All right. Anything else from my end before I pass this back?
No, I think that's a really good start.
Okay, beautiful. All right, Kate. Well, I appreciate your time. And then, hey, Anna, it's
Awesome.
your stage.
Thank you so much, Corey. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Kate, what are some of your thoughts just on a high level of what you just saw?
I think it's great. I think it's really comprehensive.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this would be something that Dan would like?
I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna. I'll talk to him today after we log off here.
Okay, great. So when it comes to next steps, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email with this video attached to it so that you can forward it on to Dan. And then for you guys, what is your timeline? I know you said it would be a hard sell for Dan. If he likes it, great. Is this something you guys are looking to move forward with within the next couple days, couple weeks? What's your timeline there?
It would probably be within the next couple of weeks. I mean, I think it's August now, so I'm gone the first week of September.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd either want to do it before or possibly after. Probably after I get back.
Okay, great. We do, just as a heads up, we do have some killer August incentives that we typically don't do. So I'll send that over to you guys just in case, like,
Okay.
hey, we really want to save some money at the end of the day. So I'll send you over those August incentives that we do have that you can let Dan see that might help you guys get the ball rolling faster. But if it is not until September, that's totally fine as well. I want to be respectful of your guys' timeline. So I'll send that over to you along with that video. And then let's go ahead and schedule a call for us to sync. And if you want to, feel free to invite Dan as well, just in case he does have some questions that maybe you didn't bring up or he just has a different perspective. So if we were to do a call, would you have some time maybe on Thursday or Friday of this week?
Let me see. Friday should be good. Probably anytime after 9:30.
Okay, that's great. And you guys are located, I'm just triple checking, you guys are in Utah, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And you guys are Mountain Standard?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're just in Denver, right next door. So let's go ahead and do Friday. And then do you want to do, I have something at 9. Do you want to do 9:30?
Yeah, 9:30 is good.
Okay, great. Well, I will send you a calendar invite. Feel free, like I said, to invite Dan. And then I have the number 801-931-7086. Would that be a good number?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'll call you on that number on Friday at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, Kate. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Corey. Bye.